All right, YouTube, back again. Just had to shut it off till I paid the fee.
I'm just going this way.
Oh, this way? Okay.
Here the right time.
Following along, here we go, guys. Entering in. I wonder which one of these is the flash on here. I know it's one of them. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Okay.
European structure in West Africa. Cape Coast Castle, where we are at the moment, that is the smallest among the three. However, Cape Coast Castle itself, it was once built as a fort known as the Carolusberg Fort by the Swiss in 1653. Later, the Danes came in for the Swiss and then they took away the fort. The Dutch also came in, they also fought the Danes and also took away the fort. Following the subsequent Anglo-Dutch war between the British and then the Dutch, the British also came in, defeated the Dutch and then took away the fort. So basically it was the British who developed the fort into a castle as we see today. Cape Coast Castle as it exists today was built over a period of 300 years. However, slavery in Africa, it all started at a time when the Europeans discovered the New World. When the New World was discovered, there were a lot of plantation farms, tobacco farms, cotton farms, mining areas which they needed people to work in these farms. But then at initial stages, they were using the Red Indians or the Native Americans. But in these Red Indians or Native Americans, they were not all that strong. They were dying because of harsh weather conditions, diseases like measles, smallpox, malaria, influenza, and so many other diseases. They needed to get people to replace the natives. Through recommendations, a Catholic bishop by name Bartholomew de las Cascas, he suggested that blacks taken from Africa should be made to work in the plantations. In his opinion, he said blacks, they were doing the same work under the same climatic condition in Africa. For that matter, blacks taken from Africa should be made to work in the plantations. They took a couple of black people from Spain to Hispaniola, where they were tested on the plantation farms. They proved to be physically strong, which made the demand for black people rise. That began the unfortunate misery and pain of black people. However, the trading itself, it wasn't in Ghana only. The whole of West Africa, from wherever that these enslaved Africans were captured along West Africa, they would all have to walk barefooted to their castles. Before they were brought down to the castles, they were first of all taken to Asan Manson slave market. That is where these enslaved Africans took their last African bath. So meaning in the castle, the captive never took their bath whilst they were in the castle. From Asan Manson, others came in here, others too might continue the journey to the Elmina castle. It all depends on who went there to buy who. If it is the British, they moved down to this castle. If it is the Portuguese, they continue the journey to the Elmina castle. And then just in the castle, the captives were being branded with the branding irons. But why were they being branded? It is because they were being bought by different slave masters, different companies. There was the need for them to identify each and every one of them. They introduced a branding iron. A branding iron is a metal. On top of the metal, the slave master has his name or has a company's logo on top of the metal. So all they have to do is to insert the metal stick into fire till it gets very hot. Once they pick the stick from the fire, they place it straight on their chest, at their arm, or at their back for easy identification. The branding alone was even enough to kill them. After that has been done, they were then separated. The men were held in the male dungeon, whilst the women were also held in the female slave dungeon. But why were they held in dungeons? They were held in dungeons because after the branding, ships were not ready for them to live at that moment. Basically, the dungeons served as a transit point for the captives to be transported to the Americas and the Caribbean. Not everyone had access to the dungeon. Some of the captives got to the castle at a time the slave ships were already in. So immediately after the branding, there wouldn't be the need for them to be in the dungeon. Right after the branding, they were all marched to on board the slave ships. The captives spent 2 weeks to 3 months in the dungeons awaiting slave ships to arrive. The trade officially ended in England in 1807, but in those of the British in the castle, they refused to end the trade in 1807. They rather continued with the trade till 1833 before it was finally abolished in this very castle. The trade lasted for more than 400 years, more than 4 centuries. So please, I'm going to pause for a while. If there are questions you would like to ask, please, you can do so before we begin with the talk. So please, any questions before we start the talk?
Is there any light down there?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
India. So India we have 2 separate dungeons, one for the men and one for the women. Okay, so please, we're going to begin the tour from this side. We're going to move down. The floor slopes, it's a bit slippery in here. Please, let us all take our time and then walk. Please come inside.
I couldn't find a flash on this thing quick enough. Let me see.
Alright, so that is the male slave engine. This very engine itself, it was designed to hold as many as 1,000 men in here for a period of time. They had 5 chambers in the engine. Each chamber held 200 men in each of them. They were not allowed to move outside. They defecated, urinated, vomited in the engine. They sat and slept around their own nest. But then the whole idea wasn't meant for them to ease themselves on the ground. But then they used to have wooden buckets at the corners for them to ease themselves. But then because they were not entering this wooden bucket regularly, they sometimes get full and then they were left with no option to ease themselves on the ground. They slept on the bare floor. Others were sleeping on top of the others. The captives, they were made to lose feelings as human beings. The 3 holes up here, that is the only source of light and ventilation for the captives. So sometimes when it rains, depending on the direction of the wind, some of the rainwater comes into the dungeon. It's washing part of their feces through the stretches you see on the ground like a gutter. It leads to the ocean. The captives were fed twice a day, in the morning and in the evening. But for whatever that it was given to them to eat, it was never meant to satisfy them, but just to sustain them whilst they were in here awaiting slave ships. The captives ate from their own palm. There was nothing like light as you see now. It was a very dark place. Because they were held in darkness for a very long time, whenever they had the opportunity to move outside, the sun rays affected their eye. Many of them became partially blind whenever they were exposed to the sun. Because they had to defecate, urinate, do all sort of things in here, the end result was malaria, diarrhea, fever, dysentery. By the time the slave ships would be ready for them to move, many of them lost their lives in this very danger. In 1974, excavation work was done in this very chamber, and in doing the excavation work, they found chains, shackles, human bones underground. And then after the excavation work, they wanted to find out what the floor it is being made of. They picked sample of the black sand you see on the ground now. They conducted a research on it, and then after the research, the result they got was that what you see on the ground now contains human feces, blood, vomit, leftover food, urine, tears, human flesh that has been mixed up together, which it has solidified and turned into black, as you see on the ground now. So over in here, it is because of the excavation work done in here. That is how come we can see the bent bricks on the ground. So the bricks you see in here, that is the original floor of the dungeon. The moment you leave this side downwards, we are no more going to walk or stand on the original floor anymore. Because the remaining chambers, nothing has been done to the floor. From here, we just cannot walk on the original floor of the dungeon. We would rather walk on the remains of the captives, mixed up with the remaining chambers. Any questions?
I'll step to the side, just wait 1 minute. Okay, a bit closer. Okay. Okay. Well, this is all enough fire, but I guess. Yeah, it ain't the brightest in here. Wow. That's not the brightest, but it's just hard to believe, though. Okay, the trough. All right. Wow, it's dark in here.
It's like
Is this what this is?
yes.
Dried up? No way.
Yeah, they can ask for blood, tears.
Oh, wow.
These are bent bricks. These are supposed to be the original floor of the dungeon. So not this. On top of the original floor, all these are human feces, blood, vomit, covering the original floor of the dungeon. So with the exception of the first chamber, where we stood on the original floor, in here we are not standing on the original floor. What you see on the ground now, these are the remains of the captives covering the original floor of the dungeon. Let's see the very last show.
So this,
That's crazy.
we are doing the each one is left with men
The whole of this area is
for the men.
I guess only way to see the differences if you do the trough.
Go to trough.
Different things
Oh,
to
thank you. Okay, so this is the trough right here. Wow.
That's the
Original floor. Mm-hmm. All these, this is feces, blood, and
tears,
the remains.
vomit. You said all of that.
Oh, wow. Crazy.
at this very point, not everyone will continue the journey from this point. Only the stronger ones will have to continue from this side. The weaker ones will be held in this room. Doctors need to examine them for the stronger ones to move ahead with the journey. But after the sorting has been done, the stronger ones wouldn't move back towards the main entrance. No, they would have to exit the dungeon through an underground passage. Behind this very wall, there was an underground passage, very big and then very wide, about 66 meters from this side. Only the stronger ones would have to make their way through the tunnel. They walk through till they get to the beach where they can onboard the slave ships. But in the tunnel itself, it has been blocked. It was blocked by the British in 1833. For that reason, we can't move through this tunnel. However, when you move outside, we'll get a chance to see how big the tunnel is and then where exactly the tunnel ends. But from this side, I'm sorry, we can't move through from this side. Flowers or wreaths also in here. They were brought in here by Africans, African Americans, people from the Caribbean. They brought them in here to pay homage to their ancestors, to our brothers and sisters who lost their lives doing the trade. They mostly bring these flowers in here during Pan-African Historical Theatre Festival, Panafest, or Emancipation Day. That is when these are mostly brought in here to remember our brothers and sisters who lost their lives doing the trade. That is how come we have many of these also in here. And then finally, we have a shrine in here, African Traditional Temple. In the olden days, before the Europeans had not introduced Christianity to Africans, nor the Arabs have not introduced Islam to Africans, Africans had their own way of worshiping God. They worship God through natural things like stones, rivers, mountains, trees. It is their belief that once they pray or worship through some of these natural phenomena, their petitions will get to their ancestral world. It is all because they believe that their ancestors are more closer to God than any other person. That was the mode of worshiping in Africa. In Cape Coast here, we have 77 lesser gods in the town. This is one of them. He is called Nana Tabre. Nana Tabre. That is the name of the shrine. But this very shrine was here before this edifice was built. After the castle was built, the British were denying our forefathers from worshiping from this side. They performed a sacrifice. They took the shrine from here to another place. Later, when the trade ended in the castle, that is when the indigenous people in the town felt they need to bring it back to its original position. So when the captives were in here, this wasn't here. It was only brought back when the British left the castle. That is how come today we see a shrine in the dungeon. Any question, please?
So, as we come and worship here alone.
Yes, it is still an active shrine for the local people in the town. Sorry.
And why was it covered?
Okay, why was the tunnel blocked? Okay, so like I said earlier, the trade officially ended in England in 1807, but then those of the British in the castle refused to end the trade in 1807. So from 1807 to 1833, it was more or less like an illegal way of transporting the captives. So there was the need for them to shut this down to bring the trade to an end in this very castle. That is how come the tunnel was blocked.
For the shrines and the lesser gods are supposed to be stepped, numbers of people come through.
Okay, so we are not here because of the shrine. We are only on tour.
That's African.
Thank you, please. Okay, please, shall we continue?
If we keep it. seasonal flowers left by descendants of adults and also the Caribbean and others, the descendants of the slaves. These are what they left in remembrance of their ancestors. Oh, I didn't leave the niggas on the floor. That's like, no. So leaving money, is that like giving to a false god or idol? So I didn't give, no, I didn't. No way. Boy, that's dark. Oh man.
What is going to happen to them? Many people lost their lives in this very danger. Those who died in the dangers, rest in peace. Please bless the person.
This is crazy. Man. Goodness. This is crazy. This is crazy. Oh man. Can't believe we're actually walking on it. Wow. The poop and vomit, feces and blood that we are walking on. And tears. That remains.
Let's have a picture of this one. Then we move straight to the there is this second flap.
Courtyard of the castle, or the graveyard of the castle. As you can see, we have 4 identified graves out here. The very first one in front of us is the only African buried in here. His name is Reverend Philip Quaque. Reverend Philip Quaque was born in Cape Coast here in 1741. Philip, together with 2 other boys, William and then Thomas, the 3 boys were taken to England, and then the idea was to train them to become missionaries. It was so unfortunate, the 2 boys that accompanied Philip to England, the 2 boys lost their lives in England. Only Philip stayed in England alone. He was the first African to be ordained as an Anglican priest in England. Later returned back to the castle. He worked in here as a reverend minister, and then also he was made the headmaster for the castle schools for the Mulatus. Philip died on 17th of October 1816. He just came out of the male dungeon, and just right above the dungeon, we have 3 windows just above the dungeon. It was a church, the first English church or the first Anglican church, sitting comfortably above male dungeon. So once Philip was up here preaching the word of God, his fellow brothers and sisters were also enslaved in the dungeon. But then the big question we need to ask ourselves is that why should they even build a church on top of a slave dungeon? When you visit the Elmina Castle, they also have a church sitting just right above the female slave dungeon with a quotation, Psalm 132 verse 13, which says that Zion is a lost resting place, and there she will rest forever. So indeed, if we truly have heaven and hell, perhaps they are trying to teach us about the concept of heaven and hell. Other than that, I personally don't see the reason why others must be up here claiming they were worshiping God. There were others just right beneath them, dying and suffering. But in the remaining thing we have here, these are shut down. The third one is that is Captain George MacLean. MacLean was a Scottish born on 24th February 1801. He was appointed as a governor in 1830. It was MacLean who ensured the closure of the underground passage in 1833 when the trade ended in the castle. MacLean also succeeded in bringing the Fantis and the Ashantis together to sign a peace agreement to fight again. MacLean once again succeeded in establishing the first English court of justice in the country. It started up here, the door opened up there with a sign known as the MacLean Hall. MacLean died in 1847. And then the last one in the middle, a lady by name Letitia Elizabeth London, Captain George MacLean's wife. Letitia traveled all the way from England to this very castle to visit her husband. 2 months after she made it to the castle, she was found dead in the husband's bedroom holding a bottle. Nobody knew what killed Letitia. Very controversial one. Rumors, gossips in the town had it that when Letitia got to the castle, she herself realized MacLean was having an African mistress by name Ellen Bannerman. Out of jealousy, out of frustration, she decided to poison herself. Others also believe that Ellen Bannerman came in here, posed herself to be a servant in a castle, later conspired with MacLean, and then together they poisoned Letitia. So as I speak with you now, nobody can really tell what exactly killed Letitia. The fact that she was found dead, she was holding a bottle. The bottle contains an acid. It could be that someone poisoned Letitia, or she decided to poison herself out of jealousy and frustration. She died in 1838, 2 months after she made it to the castle. So please, any questions about this for me? So the underground tunnel, the one I told you about, where does the entrance? That would be the couple of where you can afford the
And you close it, why? And you close it, then why?
Why? So that's what is the end of the trade business.
Oh, it's a slave trade.
Please, let's see the water system.
Okay.
It's a water reservoir. During the time of slavery, there was nothing like pipe-on water in here. They had to create this open space over here. Whenever it rains, they would have to harvest the rainwater in here. That was the water they used for cooking, for bathing, for everything in the castle. But then as I speak with you now, it has been connected to pipe-on water, as you can see from this side. Sometimes we do open this tap to fill this water reservoir, so that whenever there is shortage of water in the town, we allow the indigenes to come in here and fetch water back home. That is the purpose of the reservoir now. It's 18 feet down. Alright, so please go look around the country.
Don't they experience salting? It has been made into a form of a tank. Am I
How
right?
did
It
they,
has been made just
Like a what?
ordinary soil. Does it touch the soil? The ground itself.
how did they go it up? Because it was 18 feet down. How did they get
Okay, so
up?
they need to get a bucket tied with a rope, drop it in, and pull it out.
Can you open that again? I just want to just take a peek down there. Can you open it again, please? Thank you.
How many gallons?
I want to have no idea.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, let's move up here. Let's talk about the canals and the canal boats.
Cannonballs.
Yeah, I see them. Man, those things that tear you up. You know, when they fire those things, they tear you up, breaking bones. You get hit by one of those, you're good as dead.
I guess the speed and velocity is much
And they got weight. Yeah. You know, shame on you. You know, especially back in them days, you ain't have no medevac.
Good point, no matter.
Alright, so up here we have canals, we also have canal boats. But why do we have these canals lined up here? The Portuguese were the first people to begin with the transatlantic slave trade on the west coast of Africa. But in other European nations, they were not content with the monopoly of profit the Portuguese were enjoying from West Africa. That is when the Swiss, the English, the Dutch, the French, they all decided to involve themselves in the trade. There was the need for them to fight over a parcel of land to be able to settle. After the British settlement here, they decided to fortify their castle with these canals. So whenever there are unknown ships approaching the castle, all they have to do is to destroy them. They pick one of the cannonballs, insert it at the mouth of the cannon, and then just at the bottom of the cannon, they place in a gunpowder, and then they light it. As the gunpowder burns and then comes in contact with the cannonball. The ball is the cannon with a very tough tube. The balls are made with metals. During those days, ships were made with wood. Once the metal ball is the wooden shape, it's going to get broken. Water moves into the ship gradually and it settles down. So all these cannons up here were all placed to protect the castle from other nations. Alright, so please I'll give this a few minutes. This is about 5 minutes.
Man, you get hit with one of these, it is game over, buddy. Boy, if they break a bone or hit you with these, you'll definitely wish that you was dead or could die. Speed, velocity, and weight. And on top of it, it's got smoke.